Welcome to the Biz and Tech Podcast. Today we have Samantha Sexton from the University of Florida, Director of Government Relations, as our guest. First, the usual cybersecurity tips. This month, I saw with a client who will remain safely anonymous the notorious gift card scheme, where someone on their staff is asked to send gift cards, scratch off the back, keep them in low denominations. It's shocking that people still fall for this kind of thing, but be on the lookout for that. Also, COVID schemes. They're coming in through text, through email, and even phone calls and door to door. In Miami, there was an instance where a healthcare worker, someone impersonating a healthcare worker, said, "I'm here to give you your free test." Well, guess what? That service is currently not available from our government, so don't fall for it. Call the police. Be safe out there. And lastly, passwords. Keep your passwords safe because so many cyber events can be stopped right at the doorstep if you have a robust password. All right. That being said, are you ready for our opening joke?
Let's go for it.
What do you call an alligator detective?
Ooh, I would say litigator, but that would be on the back end of it all.
An investigator.
Ah, I like it.
It's so close. It's so close. Well, Samantha is an employee of the University of Florida, a University of Florida graduate. I happen to be a University of Florida graduate, as well as our production team. Josh is from UF. So how about a big Go Gators to our audience? And thank you so much for joining us today, Samantha. It's great to see you.
Absolutely. You too. Thank you so much for having me here. And before we get too far, again, Go Gators. Super
Absolutely.
Excited. I think the stories and the times and the memories that we can walk down, hopefully together, this morning will be really fun.
Yeah, this show, the Biz and Tech Podcast, is all about commonality. And what a better commonality than looking back and to present day at the University of Florida. And you'll notice from the shaking glass that we are being safe today with our COVID protective casing provided by our production team. So thanks, Level Up Media. All right, diving in. Tell us a little bit about your work at the University of Florida and what you're up to.
No, thank you for that. I joke with my staff quite often. One of our missions and responsibilities is really to protect and defend the university's reputation, but obviously the priorities, the things that will move us forward. And so I guess in a sense, we're kind of superheroes, legislative superheroes. So if you ever find an orange and blue cape, please let me know.
I have one for sure. It's good game day attire.
Right. So our main responsibility is to move the needle forward. Right now, we're on a path to become a top 5 university. We're accelerating towards that. We believe the return on investment, not only for the state and the nation and the world, it's incredible. I think it's something that we can't even imagine right now. So it's quite hard to articulate. But that's what I do.
Awesome. As far as the process goes and in our state and with UF involved, what's your favorite part about working in the process?
It's definitely evolved. I think working alongside of some really true servant leaders, visionaries, strategic minds, the folks that come to the table with the solutions. You don't see that everywhere. And I think that gets lost sometimes in the Hollywood films or the conversations around politics and government, especially in times of unrest or fear or an easement, I guess. But knowing every single day that the people that I'm surrounded by and the people that I interact with to move the University of Florida forward, they are truly there to do good. I think we have all been in a situation where we've tried to do good, we've tried to do our best,
right,
and maybe we've failed, but I think knowing that you are well-intentioned the entire time and they are too, that's the beauty in it. We can talk about how did we miss that opportunity, that step? How did we not get all the way to the finish line? So really the good nature of the process.
Awesome. Now, this is a loaded question.
Great.
So what are you hearing? Any rumors on classrooms opening in the fall, online learning? I talked to an FSU professor yesterday. He said off the books, so an anonymous name here, maybe a 50-50 hybrid is what people are looking at bringing to the table. What are you hearing?
Well, so our president has already boldly acknowledged and stated that we will follow the governors, but also Board of Governors, their recommendation to open up campus. So we have delayed the start of fall classes by a week. So we will be
That's official?
That's official. That's out there.
Okay.
We will be opening our doors to our students for classes on August 31st. So they get a little extra summertime. Hopefully
Awesome.
They'll make good use of it. But yeah, we'll We will be open, but it will be up to the students and families of how they engage. But we do expect, and just like yourself, as Gators, we have a great time in Gainesville. There's a lot of exciting things going on campus. There's student organizations. There's things you don't want to miss out on. And so it's figuring out how do we do that safely and smart in a very measured approach. So that's what we're taking this summer to do, is figure out and really communicate those plans.
Awesome. Yeah, I told my crew that we have season tickets together and tailgate together. I was like, regardless what the university does, regardless what the United States does,
you're going.
I'm going to our tailgate spot.
Yes.
At a bare minimum. And we have a lake house rented for game one. So game on. Looking forward to it.
Let's
cool.
do it.
So casual question. Favorite UF moment? Doesn't have to be sports related. Doesn't have to be career related. Big question, but what you got?
I can't say one, which I know is not the answer you want, but I started...
A list of 25 with 2 subparts for each
easily,
one?
Yes. So my time at the university was spent under the back-to-back national championship. So I came in right after the first basketball one. I was there for, Chris Leak, Tebow, all the big years. So that alone is kind of its own athletic bucket, right?
Oh, yeah.
There are only, yes, tens of thousands of students, but we were there. We experienced it. I remember standing in the swamp, because you didn't sit it during those years, in the North Unton Zone when we played Auburn. I have never heard the swamp as quiet as it was that day. That was my freshman year. But that will be something that forever sticks with me. And aside from that, because, athletics, they're important. They're memorable. They're exciting. It's not everything that we do as Gators. Dance marathon, I participated as a dancer for 4 years, continued on in grad school as a family relations captain, and it's something that I'm still passionate and supportive of. So really applaud the history and tradition of what that organization has not only become, but will continue to be for families.
Awesome. Great answers. Yes, I refer to the Meyer era as Golden Era 2. I was there for Golden Era 1.
Understood.
The Spurrier years, 92 to 97. I had the bonus senior year to really fine-tune my studies.
As you should.
That extra year. But what a great time, both eras, to be at the University of Florida and to experience the success in academics as well as the massive success with athletics. So sub-question to that question, and then we'll get on to our work with Big Brothers Big Sisters. Favorite bar in Gainesville?
The Swamp, hands down. I mean, if you've been to Swamp, or if you've been to Gainesville, you know where the Swamp is. And if you've been to Gainesville and not been to the Swamp, you've kind of missed your time, right?
Yes.
The true tradition, what we know as the Swamp Restaurant, will no longer be, but I could bet, and I would bet if you asked me to, we'll all be back on the front lawn, regardless of what that front lawn looks like.
Yeah.
So
I can't imagine it not being packed. And the best time, like a basketball game before or after, when you can actually have the place to yourself a little bit.
yes.
Those moments are really special.
Yeah.
I was there for the 95 national championship game, which we did not win. I watched it there. So I did sell that ticket to not watch us in person get beat by Nebraska. But what a fun time to be amongst Gators in Gator Nation, the heart of Gator Nation, and win or lose,
Undoubtedly.
Earn it together.
Yes.
So you and I met in the community serving Big Brothers Big Sisters, a wonderful organization here, not just in our community, but around the state and around the nation, helping youth in our community and our communities. So what inspired you to get involved with that organization? Tell us a little bit what that looks like.
Yeah, no, thank you. So I moved to Tallahassee in the fall of 2012. I was still doing a lot of campaigns, working around the election. Obviously, it was a big presidential year. So I was traveling a lot. And I think once I really came back to Tallahassee, I wanted to get involved. Mentorship, it was important for me as, a young girl, but also it was something that really honestly, probably the University of Florida, aside from my parents, instilled in me. And so that was one thing, looking around the community, where could I give back in a meaningful way? I knew it needed to be flexible and on my own time because, again, I was still traveling with work. And Big Brothers Big Sisters, not only the mission, but the way that we can engage as volunteers really caught my attention. So I approached the CEO at that time. He was a Gator, so we would spend Saturdays, whether it was at a local game watching party or, during the middle of the week, texting about what was going on in the Gator Nation. And so it was an easy way to just say, hey, tell me more and how can I get involved?
Awesome. And you were a big yourself. Thank you for your service there. What
Yes.
kind of activities did you and your big engagement? What was a favorite or favorite two not to pin you into one.
Yes. And so my first match, I was matched with her for 3 years, and then she moved to South Florida, so that match just naturally had to come to an end. And then my second match was for another 1.5 years. So I've had very different experiences. One of the most recent ones last summer, my little and I at the time, we wanted to really explore new things. So sushi was on the list, making homemade pizza, some of the things that I wouldn't think that would be new, but they were new to her, and they were super, super fun, but we went kayaking.
Awesome.
She was petrified, though, but it was so cool to see her evolve from a very timid and scared and uncomfortable girl in that situation to saying, when can we come back? Hey, can we go over to that shore? Can I get out and go walk around? Let's go see if we can see more alligators at the time.
Right.
That was of interest to her. And then secondly, I took my first little to a Florida State softball game. It was my first time going to the softball stadium, which is awesome. If you haven't been, definitely check it out. Some really cool, not only free opportunities for families and local folks, but just great experience all around.
What a great program.
Yes.
I've been watching some reruns on SEC Network. They're pushing softball hard right now. And those games, the past, 10 years, amazing success.
Absolutely. And it's awesome to see, young women out there that weren't too much older or different than her to be able to connect the dots and say, hey, you're running track, you're playing basketball. Have you thought about softball? Like, here are just some options for you. But also, she had never, although growing up in Tallahassee, she didn't know what Florida State University was. So having that conversation and talking to her about it. But I think the first mistake I made was I showed up to her door with a Florida State t-shirt because I thought that's what she'd want to wear. And that was the first time she told me she was a Florida Gator. And I just kind of had to chuckle to myself.
And it all went from there.
Exactly.
Never assume.
We had a great time cheering on the Gators that day.
Awesome. Well, thank you for your service again to Big Brothers Big Sisters. One of the cool things about that organization, the mentorship, the one-on-one interaction, the community enhancement. But, from a corporate angle, I don't know if a lot of our audience puts together some of the fundraisers that we do. We have a bowl event, which our production team, Matt, has been to. When I raise an idea at Aegis and say, hey, who wants to go out with me to the Treehouse event or to the car wash or to McClay to play lacrosse, whatever it is,
right? You
get 1 or 2 hands. When I suggested and brought the idea to the table, who wants to go bowling? Every hand at the table went up. And to be able to do that corporately, team building, lame term, but that's what it is. It's team building. And Big Brothers Big Sisters provides that to our corporate community, and it's awesome. So check it out if you need an activity in the fall. Hopefully in October we'll be bowling. We will see.
Yes, absolutely. It'll be a fun time, and we're to the point where, we're maxed out, right? Because it is that type of event. Everybody wants to attend and participate. So once the announcement goes out, don't wait to sign up.
Yeah, and I've seen you out there every event the past
We've been there.
5 years now. It's been a lot of fun. Okay, new question. Who do you think is the most amazing person on the planet?
So it's funny that you asked that, because I was having a similar conversation with somebody just recently, and I kind of asked, where's Kid President? That was, 2012, 2013, Soul Pancake. I love their work just as, the creative department, and a lot of the stuff that I guess the producer or the inventor of it, Brad, puts out. But I think in today's time, we need more kid presidents. Let's get that all out there. But to me, that's just an all-around good person and somebody that we can all look to, but also remind ourselves and ask, hey, how can we do more, be better, and kind of sometimes think like a kid, which is really important and challenging at times.
Awesome. So if you were going to make a dream beverage with a dream dinner, what would that look like? Time or money are not barriers, just wide open.
Well, it's hard because I don't think a big, bold glass of Cab Sav would go with tacos or pizza, which are my 2 favorite foods. But that would probably be what I'd want, which has kind of been the COVID diet, with a lot more walking, a little less wine. But yeah, which actually I've just kind of really started traveling outside of the United States. Didn't have time when I was in college. I focused on leadership, which I thank myself for it, but also somewhat regret that I didn't study abroad. But when I went to Greece last year, I figured the wine would be plentiful and I'd love it. And finding wine in another country, especially when you're very particular and familiar with one, it became a challenge. So that was a new experience for me.
Yeah, we were in Greece a couple of years ago, and they had one white wine on the boat. I enjoy red wines mainly, but we went with this one white, and it was fantastic. And we drank all of the wine on the boat. They ran out by the seventh day. So to that end, during this time, it's been a weird spring. But the people that collect our recycling bin, I have to feel sorry for because it clanks and weighs more than it ever has. So I look forward to a little exercise this summer and fall, and we'll take it from there.
Yes.
So on an average day, pre-health crisis, what's your 9 to 5 look like? Or is 9 to 5 a silly, silly term?
I would appreciate a 9 to 5, but a 9 to 5 does not live or exist in our world. And again, I think that goes back to why I appreciate the people that I work with, because they truly are tireless. They're doing it because they believe in the work, right? And so I'm a morning person. Some people love it. Some people don't. The people that don't are the ones that receive emails at 4:35, 5:30. I try not to text before 7, but those people, if you're high on my list, you're probably going to get one before 6:30. Sorry. And so it starts early. You're consuming the news. You're following up, but also the work that you have to get done during any day, which is maybe communicating what the vision is, what your priorities are, or highlighting a student or researcher success. That's all important daytime activities. But in the evening, it's following up on some of those administrative tasks that you don't have time for, or building the relationships, which are super important because our profession and our work really comes down to not only relationships, but the way we're seen and respected. If we are trustworthy because we've been able to portray both sides of any argument, that's super important, but it takes time. And
it's hard to do.
It is. So there's a balance that you have to strike, and I know I always don't, but I strive for it.
Yes, I've heard of this work balance thing.
It's a thing.
It's a thing. Awesome. So going back, we talked about your favorite bar in Gainesville and mine. I think I agreed with you on Swamp with a salty dog and Lillian's thrown in there.
I don't know how I forgot about salty dog.
It's an acquired taste. It is a smoky, tiny bar, but it's also lovely. The ambience is tremendous. It's off the scale.
And we're going to be missing that one too.
Sadly. Yes, I've heard this. Purple Porpoise also gone. Anywho. So let's see. Going forward, favorite bar in Tallahassee to go along with favorite bar in Gainesville, because, we have to be balanced and show both sides here.
Of course. I think the Junior League of Tallahassee, which I'm currently serving as the president of, we have taken over Table 23. We joke that it's our second meeting location. We're just across the street from them. Great happy hour.
Yeah, my friend Mandy from high school owns that establishment, and they do a fantastic job. Get out there and check them out, Table 23.
So that's, a go-to, but also sometimes more business-centered. Mm-hmm. And when I have my Saturday and it's sunny, we're going to Proof. That's
Good call.
Easy one.
And the international flair. Favorite bar in the world? You mentioned traveling overseas. You have a favorite overseas watering hole?
I don't, but I would say, like you, I was stuck on a boat for about 8-9 days. So the boat became the bar. But really, any place that has sun and a beach, drop me off. I'm happy.
When I wrote the question down, I thought of Rick's in Jamaica. I've only been once, but it really stuck in my head. So we're gonna throw that out there.
I like it.
All right, as we close today, favorite part about Tallahassee, living in North Florida, or our state in general?
I would say specifically about Tallahassee, I grew up in Melbourne, so in the Space Coast, right along the beach. I appreciate the fact that we're not on the beach because especially in North Florida, it's a different type of beach. But being close enough to drive over to Seaside, pop down to our coast, whether you're kayaking or on a paddleboard, love that. And I've always questioned and have not been able to fully understand why people, when they come to Tallahassee, they complain about the food scene. I love it. I think it has a super strong local backbone. And I really hope after, post-COVID, or can we even say post-COVID, will it ever end? But when we can really resume that new normal or go back to the way we used to operate, I sure as heck hope a lot of those businesses will still be in operation, because to me, that's so much of what makes Tallahassee awesome.
So you said Space Coast. Did you watch the launch on Saturday?
I did, and I actually received a number of texts because I've shared my stories of my house would rumble. My mom worked for Florida Today. So, just the news coverage of it, we would, whether we're at the launch site or somewhere along the beach, we'd always watch it. And the last shuttle that went up, I was back home. I can't remember which year it was, but I was managing all of our lifeguards at the time. And so we shut down the pool, and we had the opportunity to, talk to some of the younger lifeguards who really hadn't known the shuttle program as much as, myself and some of our contemporaries. But I think it's awesome. And I'm so excited to see Kennedy Space Center doing more now.
Yeah, I talked to NASA actually yesterday, Catherine from their PR department, on a new column I'm working on for FloridaPolitics.com. I talked to my editor, Phil, yesterday. It's going to be cool.
Nice.
It's going to highlight that launch. And as we close today, prayers for our astronauts at the International Space Station right now, and prayers for all Americans to be treated fairly and equally going forward. And prayers to everyone in the United States. Let's get through this health crisis together. God bless you. Thank you, Samantha, for coming on today. Any closing thoughts?
No, thanks for having me, and go Gators.
Go Gators. We'll see you next time. We're going to welcome Katie from WCTV and Monique from Second Harvest coming up. So we'll see you next time. Biz and Tech Podcast out. I'm Blake Dowling from Aegis Business Technologies. Have a great day.